It's feeding time, and I'm about to feed my female Phormictopus species blue and male Phormictopus species blue, and figured I'd do a quick husbandry video on it. I picked these two up from Stamps Tarantulas a few months back. Didn't even have any idea there was such thing as a Phormictopus species blue. Anybody that follows me on Tom's Big Spiders or on YouTube knows I'm a huge fan of the genus Phormictopus, and I've been trying to grab up basically every species they have out there. So when I found out there was a blue version of it, of course, I had to jump at it. So I picked up a male and female pair. The female is just become one of my favorite teas. I don't know what it is about it. I just love the looks of her. There's just slight blue highlights now. I'm sure probably as they get to adulthood, we'll start to see more, and I'll obviously do an update of it there. Right now, she looks like just a pretty typical Phormictopus. I'm going to go ahead and put the light on her here. There she is. I just included this one in a molt video not that long ago as well, so people have probably seen this one before, but been a beautiful spider, put on a ton of size with the last molt. When I got her, she was about 3 inches long, 3.5 maybe. She's closer to 5 now, 5.5. I mean, they put on so much size in between molts. I keep these like I do most of my Phormictopus species. This one will be getting a larger enclosure very soon. One thing about Phormictopus, if you get into them, they tend to outgrow their enclosures very, very quickly. So try to plan ahead and give them a little bit of extra space when you house them. I keep them all pretty much the same. I know there's a lot of information out there. It says that they need it wet, and I just haven't found that to be true. This is a very, very hardy spider. It reminds me a lot of the LPs that are out there as far as husbandry, wherein I do like to keep one end of it moist for them, but if it dries out in between, they don't seem to care. I've had them molt when it was moist. I've had them molt when it was dry. There's never been any issues. They eat like machines. Easily one of my favorite genuses to feed, just because the feeding response on these guys is incredible. Move this a little closer to her. So you see here, I'll be moistening this a little bit more afterwards. I did let it dry out in between. Now, if you're breeding them, I have read that for breeding purposes, you are going to want to be a little more attuned to the moisture levels, because that's something that can stimulate the breeding process. There's one of our water dishes over there. These guys do dig quite a bit. I found that as slings for Phormictopus species will burrow, they bury themselves, especially if they're in pre-molt. You won't see them for a while, but as they put on some size, they get bolder and hang out in the top. So basically any Phormictopus species I have right now that's larger than, say, 3.5, 4 inches or so hangs out right on top at all times. So they are a nice little display spider because they're always out. Get a little bit closer to her. Now, as far as whether this is a species unto itself or just a color variation, that's still up for debate. I do believe that these ones are found the same place that the regular P. canceroides are found. I could be wrong there. I've talked to a couple people that have said there's a couple different variations of species blue, or a couple different species are thought to produce the blue ones. I really wish they would sort out this genus, because I got a funny feeling a lot of these purples, blues, and greens are just going to be color variations of other ones. I personally don't care if I can get a blue Phormictopus, a green Phormictopus, a purple Phormictopus. I'll take any color they can give me. I just love these species. So later on, I will use my water bottle to make it rain in here, and I will wet down a side of it. But again, I haven't seen them really show any affinity to the moist side at all. They won't hang out there. And I do have some species that are moisture loving, that if you wet down one side, you'll find them hanging out on the wet side. These guys haven't done it. But again, I think it's good practice to give them, a choice, wet or dry. So I'm going to close this one up here and just point out another thing. Now, when you order pairs of tarantulas, a lot of times you'll see this guy, the male is a little bit more skittish than the female. There's the male, as you can see, quite a bit smaller. And then a word on temperament. My female's actually been very, very calm. I've had very, very good luck with the Phormictopus species. I know they're known to be pretty nasty, but I rarely get threat postures. I think I've only gotten a couple, and generally I found that if you're just, careful around them and don't startle them, they're fine. A word about sizes. If you try to buy pairs of tarantulas, very important thing to consider is a lot of times you'll see them advertised as, well, 3-inch pair of blah, 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 or 2.5-inch pair. You don't want males and females that are the same size, because males mature much quicker than the females. So if you purchase a pair of, say I bought a pair of these at 2.5 inches or so, by the time the male reaches maturity, the female is not even going to be anywhere near ready to breed. So your male is going to be dead and gone by the time your female is ready to breed. So I did like when I ordered these from Stamps, I was very happy with the fact that I was sent a much smaller male. So if I control how much they eat and don't overfeed the male, again, I'm not starving by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm not feeding them quite as much as the female should be sexually mature first, and then my male will mature first. That also means that they're probably from separate bloodlines, which is also something that you want to think about, because I think there's a lot of inbreeding in the tarantula hobby, and although it hasn't been proven it causes any issues, I do think that the reason why males and females mature at different speeds is because it kind of prevents in the wild from the females from molting with males from the same sac. So again, love Phormictopus species. If you can find these out there, I've seen them start to pop up. I would highly encourage you to check them out. They're a little more expensive, or just go back to the regular P. canceritas, who are very easy to come by and usually quite inexpensive. So this is the Phormictopus species blue. This is my male. I'll poke on the female one more time. Whoop. Billy's out shopping, so I don't have a camera person this time, and the kids are upstairs. So, and there's the female. Gorgeous, gorgeous spiders. And again, I really don't care what color these guys are. Even the ones that are quote-unquote brown are just gorgeous spiders.